The sun has always ruled the sky. It rose every morning in fiery splendor, pouring golden light across the land, and while it gave life, it also tested life. For our ancestors, thousands of years ago, summer was not a season of vacations or leisure, it was survival against a burning giant. Imagine a world without fans, without air conditioners, without chilled water waiting in a fridge. Imagine the open plains where the horizon shimmered in waves of heat, forests where the air was heavy and unmoving, deserts where the sand scorched the feet. That was the stage on which early humans learned the art of surviving summer. Long before cities rose, our ancestors wandered as hunter-gatherers. Summers were merciless. The sun turned rivers shallow, cracked the earth into pieces, and baked the plains until even the toughest plants wilted. To survive, our ancestors became keen observers of the earth. They learned to follow the shade. Trees were not just silent companions, they were shelters, protectors. Beneath their branches, the temperature dropped, the soil cooled, and life clung stubbornly. Early humans made camp under thick canopies, resting during the hottest hours and moving only in mornings or evenings when the air was gentle enough to breathe. But shade alone was not enough. Water was life, and in summer it was scarce. Our ancestors watched animals carefully, herds of antelope, elephants, or wild boar. These creatures always knew where water hid. By following their trails, humans discovered hidden springs, underground streams, and mud holes that would quench their thirst. They learned to dig into dry riverbeds, pulling out moisture from below the surface. Every drop mattered. Sometimes they would press plants between stones, squeezing out liquid that tasted bitter but kept them alive. The knowledge of where to find water became more precious than fire itself, passed from one generation to the next like a sacred secret. It may sound strange, but fire, though born from heat, was also a shield against summer's wrath. With fire came the ability to harden clay. And with clay came pots. These simple vessels became miracles. Filled with water and kept in the shade, clay pots breathed. Tiny pores let water evaporate slowly, cooling what was inside. Thousands of years before refrigerators, our ancestors discovered natural refrigeration. Food too was preserved with the wisdom of summer. Drying fruits, seeds, and strips of meat under the sun turned perishables into stores of energy that would last weeks, even months. What the sun threatened to take away, our ancestors cleverly turned into a gift. When we imagine ancient summers, we might picture bare skin glistening under the sun, but our ancestors knew better. They learned that exposure was dangerous. Animal hides, softened by smoke and oils, became coverings. Later, with plant fibers, humans wove light garments. These were not heavy clothes but loose wrappings, allowing air to flow while protecting the body from direct rays. In deserts, tribes wore long robes and veils, not because they were primitive but because they were wise. Covering the body kept sweat from evaporating too quickly, which in turn kept them cooler. Each thread was a line of defense against the sun. Architecture itself was born from the challenge of seasons. In hot regions, ancestors built homes with thick mud walls. Why? Because mud breathed. It absorbed the heat during the day and released it slowly at night, keeping the inside cool. In India, Africa, and the Middle East, mud houses stood like guardians of comfort. In caves, humans found another ally. Deep chambers stayed cool even when the outside world boiled. Some tribes would vanish into these natural shelters during the worst hours of summer, emerging only when the air softened. Later, as civilizations grew, people invented courtyards, open wells, and wind towers, structures that caught breezes and funneled them indoors. These were ancestors of the air conditioner, silent yet effective. Perhaps the greatest wisdom of all was timing. Our ancestors didn't fight the sun, they respected it. When the world baked in the midday blaze, they rested. Work began before dawn and resumed after dusk. The afternoon was for stillness, for sitting in shade, for letting the body recover. Even animals followed this rhythm. Lions hunted at night, deer grazed at dawn, and humans too learned that survival meant moving with the rhythm of the earth, not against it. The long rest of noon was not laziness, it was life preserved. Summer demanded not just shade and water but nourishment. Fruits rich in water became lifelines: melons, cucumbers, berries. Our ancestors learned to chew on roots that held moisture, to pluck leaves that cooled the body, to select wild herbs that reduced fever and thirst. Salt was precious too. With sweat pouring from their skin, early humans lost vital minerals. By licking salt deposits from rocks or boiling meat in clay pots, they replenished what the sun drained away. In villages, people fermented drinks, simple mixtures of grains, fruits, and water, that not only cooled but also preserved energy. Every sip was survival in liquid form, every handful of berries a shield against exhaustion. No one survived summer alone. Families, tribes, whole communities worked together. They shared water sources, guarded wells, carried heavy jars over long distances, and built shelters collectively. Stories around evening fires were not just tales, they were instructions. How to find hidden springs, which plants quenched thirst, which signs in the sky warned of storms. Knowledge passed from one mouth to another became the most powerful tool of all. A child listening by the fire wasn't just entertained, he was being prepared to face the burning days ahead. In deserts, survival was an art. The Bedouins, Tuaregs, and countless other tribes became masters of heat. They carried goatskin bags filled with water, learned to travel at night guided by stars, and rested their camels during the sun's peak. Their tents, made of woven fibers, allowed air to pass but blocked the harshest rays. They understood mirages, never chasing illusions, and could smell dampness in the air miles away. For them, every grain of sand held wisdom. The desert was not an enemy, it was a teacher. Where water flowed, summer softened. Civilizations like those of the Nile, the Indus, and the Euphrates rose around rivers, not by accident but by necessity. Irrigation canals turned arid lands green, and shade trees planted along banks became sanctuaries. Forests too provided a shield. Inside their canopy, temperatures could be 10 degrees cooler than the open ground. Our ancestors in such regions learned to weave leaf shelters, drink dew from leaves at dawn, and hunt in shadows where prey lingered. In the dim green light of forests, the heat's tyranny weakened, and life flourished in quieter rhythm. We must not forget one truth: our ancestors were stronger than we can imagine. Their bodies adapted. Sweat was their secret weapon. Unlike many animals, humans could sweat profusely, cooling the skin even under punishing heat. Combined with endurance, this allowed early humans to hunt by persistence, chasing prey until it collapsed from heat exhaustion. In a strange twist, the very sun that threatened to kill them also gave them the upper hand in survival. The ability to bear heat made humans hunters unlike any other. Heat was not only physical but spiritual. Many tribes believed the sun was a god, a force to be respected, even feared. They created rituals, prayers, dances, offerings, to honor it, hoping for mercy. While some of these acts were spiritual, they also carried wisdom, gathering at dawn and dusk, teaching communities to avoid the fiercest hours. Songs spoke of rivers, myths told of droughts, stories reminded people of the dangers of thirst. Through culture itself, survival lessons were carved into memory. Today, when we sip cold water from a glass, when we step into an air-conditioned room, when we wear cotton clothes in the heat, we are living with the gifts of our ancestors. Every invention, every habit, every tradition around summer is a whisper from them. We endured, and so can you. Their summers were harsher, their resources fewer, their enemies many. Yet they survived. Not by fighting nature but by listening to it, learning from it, and respecting its rhythm. The story of our ancestors in the heat of summer is not just about thirst or shelter. It is about resilience. It is about creativity born from necessity. It is about communities holding together, and human beings finding balance with the world around them. So the next time you wipe sweat from your brow on a hot day, remember, you carry within you the wisdom of thousands of years, of countless generations who walked before you, under the same blazing sun, and learned not just to survive, but to live.